we're near the end of the year now, so I think it's about time to go over this year's enemies list. This is the video where I tell you all the worst artists and all the most atrocious music that I could even think of hearing. Hey, how's it going? My name is Dan Frampton. I am the internet's most ruthless gatekeeper, and I'm here to gatekeep punk rock just the way nature intended, okay? Now, I'm not going to be mentioning any Blink-182 or any Rancid, okay? I might have been just a little bit disappointed with their output this year, but they're not on my enemies list. Not even Travis Barker. Last year, Travis Barker was enemy number 1. But this year, there was so much room for more awful idiots. Now, the first grouping I want to do is some emo enemies. Then, I'm going to get into some hardcore enemies. And then, by the end of it, I'm just going to tell you the worst artists of the year, okay? So, the worst emo records this year came out by The Used, Youth Fountain, Nothing Nowhere, and Pierce the Veil. Now, I was expecting to not like any of these, but the degree that I disliked all of their records was monumental. I thought the Used record was atrocious. Nothing Nowhere was some of the worst music I have ever heard. It's like, oh, you want to be like emo and then nu metal and then kind of new core, and I don't know what the hell they're doing. I didn't like any of it. I thought it was awful. Pierce the Veil, you know, legends, OGs. I wasn't expecting to like their thing. They just came out, did their thing. I just happened to not really like it so much. And then Youth Fountain, okay? Youth Fountain, coming from Canada, signed to Pure Noise. I want to root for this guy. I want to be like, yeah, Youth Fountain, Canadian pop punk. Let's go take over America, boy. But you know what? It's just like paint by the numbers, boring ass Pure Noise pop punk. When you think of Pure Noise records and the kind of pop punk they like to slap their name on, this is exactly that. It doesn't deviate from that formula one bit. It is utter shite. I am not a fan of it, not even by a little bit. Those are all the worst emo artists of the year, okay? Now we gotta start talking about my favorite group of idiots. Alright, we gotta talk about the hardcore babies. Now, you'd think that the emo people would be a little bit sensitive, but they're not. The emo bands are actually so much more confident than these hardcore babies, okay? Earlier this year, I made a tweet saying that C4 sucks, okay? Now that was pretty ambiguous. There's so many different kinds of C4 out there, alright? There's the actual explosive, there's the energy drink, and then there's the band. And I wasn't very specific with which one I was talking about, okay? But the label that they're on, Triple B, slid into my mentions to make sure that they let me know that they didn't like me, okay? And this is one of the big hardcore labels out there. So, C4 and Triple B, automatic enemies. Worst label of the year by far, okay? And that leads me to the only other one that is making a reappearance on my enemies list, and that is Mike Dirt, okay? He made a tweet about me saying that he just watched me like have a schizophrenic meltdown about something or other after watching one of my videos, and had a whole bunch of hardcore people after me yet again. And I was kind of stirring the pot. I kind of made like a Ronnie Radke joke and tagged Mike Dirt in it, and he didn't like that very much, so he got a whole community after me again. And I gotta say, I love it. The way that he galvanizes his idea and like sends a whole bunch of goons my way, there's nothing like it. He's got an army of hardcore baby minions out there, and I gotta respect him for it. It's actually kind of hilarious. Now, Tsunami did put out a record that I didn't really like this year, but I'm not putting Tsunami as a band on the enemies list this year, even though that record did suck so much. But I think just Mike Dirt occupying this space is good enough, because it really is just Mike Dirt that I have the beef with. It really is Mike Dirt who does suck tremendous amounts of ass, okay? So for all those reasons, I'm sparing Tsunami as an entity from this list. But Mike Dirt, oh my god, you are so written in stone. 2 years in a row. You gotta love it. Now the next band on this list is gonna rank so high because their output sucked so much this year. They were like, I want to be this kind of band. I want to be that kind of band. They put out an EP here, an EP there, a single there, and it was all over the place. That band is signed to Epitaph, and they're known as Magnolia Park. Moon Eater, Soul Eater. I couldn't keep up with it. One minute they want to be a pop punk band, then the next minute it, they want to be like a Hollywood Undead, post-hardcore, weird-ass kind of thing. I cannot keep it straight, okay? I'm not a fan of it, not even by a long shot. It kind of feels like there's just a bunch of members in the band and there's no actual compromises creatively being made. One guy's just like, hey, I want to do this. Then they're like, all right, let's just do that. Instead of taking that idea, crafting it as a band, or just ditching it completely, they just like do everything and it all sucks. Okay, now we're getting to the real worst offenders here, okay? Coming in at the second last spot here is Modson for his record, God Save the Teen, okay? God Save the Teen, you heard that correctly, okay? This guy's whole aesthetic, vibe, sound, everything is just lifted wholesale. He does not know what he's doing. And his story is kind of tragic in a way. He was rolling with one of the biggest circles going in the pop punk world, okay? The MGK, Avril Lavigne, Travis Barker circle. You know what I mean? And I've had a lot to say about that circle, and all of them were really high up, maybe in this spot on the enemies list last year. But Modson has taken it here this year because all of those people that I just mentioned don't even want to be around this guy. So at once he was dating Avril Lavigne, and now he's just putting out awful music trying to be like, hey man, I'm cool, please somebody like me over here in the corner. Meanwhile, we're all like, nah, you're not cool, we don't like you, Modson, you kind of suck. And obviously the worst band of the year is Anti-Flag, right? With Christina's allegations, with Rolling Stone's huge article that brought forth all these other allegations, with the band breaking up so abruptly, with the label going under, with all these bands being compromised that were signed to the label. They just put out a record and were touring over in Europe when all this hit the fan, and the shockwaves that were sent were felt far and wide. I hope the frontman of this band, Justin Sane, can just rot in hell for the rest of the time, okay? This guy sucks so much. The pain and hurt that he's caused, all under the guise of being like a safe guy, being like a feminist, being like, oh, it's okay to come over here and be vulnerable, all the while taking advantage of that position of power in the punk rock community. Absolutely disgusting, absolutely abhorrent. Nobody else is gonna get my #1 enemy of the year other than this idiot over here, Justin Sane, and his whole band, Anti-Flag, okay? Did I miss any enemies? Who were your enemies? Let me know down there in the comments. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps out. And until my next upload, watch one of these other uploads. Okay, see you later.